The definition control has to be the single most powerful control in the Kemper. You can think of it like a sweeping EQ. It can make profiles darker or brighter and sort of everything in the middle, while still maintaining the natural characteristic of the profile, the amp sound. Now, there's sort of a general feeling in the Kemper community sometimes that turning knobs or changing parameters, going too deep into the Kemper, can somehow destroy the integrity of the profile that was created. I don't think this is true, and sometimes I notice people really go after the amp in the room sound. Did you ever stand in the room with Jimi Hendrix and his 100-watt plexi? Were you there when Jimmy Page recorded Zep 1? Have you ever gone over to John Mayer's house and heard his Dumble? Unless you've got some really cool stories, probably not. It's important to recognize that the guitar sounds you grew up with, the guitar sounds that you have in your head, are not just the sound of an amplifier. They're also the sounds of speakers and preamps and post-mixing. You're not just enjoying the sound of vintage amplifiers, but the sound of vintage recording as well. And this is the real strength of the Kemper. It allows us to eliminate so many variables that get in between the guitar player and the finished product, the finished, recorded, or live sound. The Kemper doesn't just profile amplifiers. It's listening to the entire signal chain. Microphones, cables, preamps, and anything else you have in that chain. You know, if you're familiar with microphones and recording equipment, you're aware that different mic techniques can yield very different results. If you take a bright guitar like a Stratocaster and put it into a bright amp like a Twin, you can still, even with that microphone technique, roll off a lot of the high end and get rid of a lot of the high end presence, sort of the harshness that you might find with that combination, just with different mic techniques. You might even notice that most preamps have a high pass filter right on the front. It's usually a button you can press. Or there's EQs that might be built into those units, or you might even run into an EQ before going into the DAW or the tape machine or however you're recording. We don't consider those functions to be destroying the sound of an amplifier when we're recording. And those are really the functions that Kemper is attempting to recreate. So let's look at two examples of how to tastefully use the definition control with the Kemper to match an existing profile to two very different guitars. Check it out. Now, it's important to note that extreme settings, like putting the definition control all the way on 10 or all the way on 0, will yield some results that maybe do not sound very reminiscent of the original profile or the original amplifier. But as you can see, simply moving a control from 4 with a Telecaster to 7 or 8 with a Les Paul, it doesn't destroy the sound of those guitars. Tellys still sound like Tellys. Les Pauls still sound like Les Pauls. And of course, the AC30 amplifier still sounds very much like an AC30 amplifier. My friends, there is no more powerful control in the Kemper than the definition control, and that's why it is the place you should start whenever you are trying to match a guitar with a particular profile. You don't have to seek out profiles only made with Telecasters if you're a Tele player, or profiles only made with humbuckers if you're a humbucker player. Simply understanding the tools in front of you, and especially the definition control, can help you match any guitar to any profile. Now, I can honestly tell you that after creating hundreds and hundreds of professional profiles, after selling thousands and thousands of profile packs to very happy customers, those people who get the most out of their Kemper are the ones who understand that they will need to tailor any profile for their guitar. As slight as the fine-tuning will be, the results are simply better if you can make fine tweaks to your playing and your instrument. My friends, I have been HW. For more Kemper tips, tricks, profiles, and news, subscribe, like us on Facebook, or check out ToneJunkieStore.com.